just get her going. Oh, that's even better, that half.
Okay. Well, you could have just stayed there if you... Did you zoom back
I just
out?
zoomed out. I didn't know
Okay.
I could. Technology, man.
Yeah, and those lights too, you know, Walmart.
That makes a big
They're
difference.
like $20.
I'm already getting on that and make that dude for sure.
I don't know what these cost now, but pre-pandemic they were cheap.
You can get pretty pricey with them. I know. I got on JBL.
Did you want me to zoom back in? Or
If
just
you
leave
want.
it wide? Because now...
Is it better where it was at one?
I'll
Instead
try
of
one.
half?
And we plan
Yeah,
on getting
that's
one of those
better.
cheaper
I'll put it back
4K
on
cameras
one.
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it still going?
Yeah, I don't know what resolution. I just use one on my laptop when I talk into it.
I think
Then
so.
I've got this
It
thing
would,
here.
up at the top it would be like a red with the numbers.
Does that do pretty good?
Yeah, it actually does.
I don't see nothing.
Yeah, 'cause I do all the zooms with that light from here, and that's the backdrop. There's like a lot
Oh
of-
yeah, there is. It's
Okay.
just blocked by the
Yeah.
thing holding it.
Alright, sweet.
All right, and then with this, it's just the red circle, right?
Yeah, you hit the red circle and it should just start moving.
What
If not,
system do you guys use?
Audacity.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's done us pretty well.
used to do the Spotify, the actual Anchor app.
Yeah,
Oh, the red circle on top?
Yep.
and they got bought out.
Tell me when.
Go.
Yeah. Go ahead and hit her. Yeah.
We are here with Patrick Hoban, CEO of Bloomington Normal Economic Development Council. That's kind of a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
And we are in downtown Normal.
Actually, it's called Uptown.
Uptown Normal.
Uptown
Sorry.
Normal.
Downtown
I should-
Bloomington,
hey,
Uptown
yeah,
Normal.
So I've spent a lot of time in this area. Actually, I used to date a girl that went to Illinois State.
Okay.
She actually lived like right down there on Locust.
Oh, sure.
So
Yeah.
I should know the difference between uptown and downtown. Whenever my buddy Dallas listens to this, he'll
smack your
he'll
hand too.
browbeat me because
Yeah.
he should know. He says that I should know the difference probably.
They'd be really upset with you. Notre Dame alum too, right?
Yeah,
Notre
never
Dame.
Yeah, I got the master's in business analytics from Notre Dame. That was one where I was up in Chicagoland, and they had a satellite office on Michigan Avenue. And we were living in Tinley Park. They've got a metro train that went right down to the loop, so it was really easy every other weekend to go do that. I shouldn't say easy. It was easy to get there. The class itself was extremely hard. So the same workload that a traditional student would do, but an executive program, you're basically doing everything on your own, and then every other week trying to do the same load. We had 3 immersions on campus, which was cool, actually be on campus at Notre Dame. But yeah, without that degree, I would not have this job.
Yeah, Notre
Yeah.
Dame campus is pretty special.
Very.
I went for the first time. I went whenever I was younger, like a long time ago. But I went for the first time in September whenever they played Tennessee State.
Okay.
Really took in the campus sites.
Yeah,
That was pretty awesome.
no, it's a great place.
Yeah. Big Notre Dame guys right here, all 3 of you, right?
And we got Chad Fike Esquire on the ones and twos. Good friend of Mr. Hoban here. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here right now.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Mac 97. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And
Had some good times.
Yeah.
as you can see on the video, we have a real podcast set
Yeah,
up here.
it's what it should look like.
Yeah, so just working on that.
We're getting there. We are getting there. Oh yeah. So 97 Mac. You know, would you know Peters was 94, wasn't he? Matt Peters?
Doesn't ring a bell.
He was earlier, I think. Never mind. Sorry, I
Yeah.
sidetracked.
He
you.
played football, maybe, or wrestled. Might have known him, but
He did football.
he played football.
I think he was MacArthur.
Yeah,
right?
we were-
Peters in our class.
We were freshmen. Is it Aaron Peters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That would have been our freshman here, so
never mind then.
not hanging out with a lot of the seniors at that age.
No.
Never mind. Yep.
Bears fan. We're taking him from a portion of the Bears game,
Yeah.
I assume, at this point.
Oh,
Yeah, probably starting, 7:30, so we got a little time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get a little,
That
get
clock's-
45 minutes
I
in.
never reset that, so.
I wish we wouldn't. We would never. I don't know why we fall back. I really don't understand it. It just
Daylight
makes me
savings.
depressed. But yeah. So
Fellow podcaster yourself.
you run a
Yes.
podcast.
Have
Yes.
the Building BN podcast.
Building BN is one that we started here at the EDC because most of the time in economic development, almost all economic developers, every county, every state has somebody like us. We all work behind the scenes. And our goal was to be able to tell more of the background story on how a deal gets done. So in town, we've got State Farm, Country Financial, Arabian Automotive's a big new company here in town. Ferrero, like they buy the chocolates, that's made right here as well. So as companies expand, we want to tell the story on how they expanded and why they did it here.
Yeah.
So it's an
Yeah.
easy way for us to, podcast is free, once you got the equipment, but a cool way whenever new businesses come to town or prospects, they'll usually listen in. And so whenever I run into them at a show, they're like, hey, I listened to your podcast. I'm like, that's cool.
Okay. So what are some of the adversities you guys have with your podcast? I know it's kind of focused on the business development side, but
Yeah, it's really, our goal is just to tell a story on whether you are a developer, or we've got another one we just started too that's called Life Multiplied, because we're trying to attract more talent here. Our region grew so fast, because Rivian was supposed to have maybe 500 employees, and just last month they hit 8,700 employees.
Oh,
So they grew, they ramped up real quick, building all those Amazon vans, the R1T and then the R1S, the SUV that you see around. They're selling like hotcakes. And so because that demand hit so high on all the workers here, we also had Ferrero Rocher, who does, Ferrero Rocher, Kinder Bueno, Crunch Bars.
Yeah.
That's all manufactured out by my house. And they were importing the chocolate, and they're like, you know what, we're tired of importing, we want to make the chocolate somewhere in North America. It's between you, Canada, and Mexico. So we cut a deal with the state of Illinois, and right now, like on your way to town, if you take that route, you can see this new $250 million chocolate production facility. So yeah, it's a big Willy Wonka chocolate factory going in right next to my house. So hopefully it smells really good.
it should.
Yeah. But bottom line, like we don't have enough people, so like let's tell the story of what it's like to live, work, and play here in order to recruit more people up to this area.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Bloomington Normal area has always been way different than Decatur as far as just availability to do things.
Yeah.
And even as far as just riding the Constitution Trail.
Yeah.
It's night and day difference.
They update all of the infrastructure, and the neighborhoods are better.
Yeah, no, I was born and raised in Decatur. My dad did homicide there. My uncle was a commander. Went through all Decatur public school systems. Went through Richland for like a decade when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. Ended up in Milliken, and then somehow Notre Dame, and now here. I did go to ISU for 1 year. Actually, that's my dorm over there, Manchester. Down the street, Brewhaus. That's one of my fraternity brothers, Bob Brew. The problem was there, I had so much fun. My parents were like, "Yeah, you're coming home." Which is why I went to Richland Community College for a decade.
It's similar to my college story. I had too much fun and partied my way out, and now I'm a correctional officer. So.
Hey, life happens, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit about your background here. So you got this, the Bloomington Normal Economic Development Council. They're, is it private, or is it part of the municipality here in Bloomington?
It's literally a public-private. So in Decatur, there's a similar one. That's where I started, actually, the EDC of Macon County, Decatur and Macon County. So how it works is like the city of Bloomington, the town of Normal, the county, they all invest in us, but so does State Farm and Rivian, all the private companies. So the idea is that you're funding this quasi-public-private partnership, and our goal is to not make anyone individually money, but to try to attract extra investment here. So like if you're State Farm, you want to have a booming economy because you have trailing spouses that need somewhere to work. If you're doing well at Rivian, same thing. Like we're trying to help everybody that's already here grow from within, but then also attract complementary businesses. So like right now, Rivian's importing a lot of different products, as far as suppliers go to build those trucks. So our job would be to figure out how we can get those suppliers to move closer to here. Right now, batteries are in high demand. So all these EVs are coming out, and we do not manufacture enough batteries in the United States. So we've been in heavy competition for a battery manufacturer as well. So yeah, our job is to basically help the economy spin and to grow it from within.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to come up with on the way here. I was asking them because I was reading something about business the other day, and it was complementary jobs was the definition I was looking for. So
Yes.
basically, for every one person, 5 other jobs are created as far as school, businesses, doctors,
Barbers,
stuff like that.
And it's
Everyday stuff.
It's pretty wild. We actually have some software that's called an M-Plan that we use to calculate, which is where the Notre Dame analytics degree comes in handy, to say, all right, if we bring in an auto manufacturer, how many other jobs does that create in other communities compared to if you bring in a retailer? So like in your Trader Joe's, everybody wants one. You bring in a Trader Joe's, how many jobs does that make compared to bringing in a Rivian? And it's usually, like you said, 5 for manufacturing. It gets a little bit lower for some office jobs, but that allows us to pump the numbers in and say, okay, if we give up 20% of this total project cost, how long will it take us to get that money back? Because a lot of times we've lost out to other states like Texas, who will just, every time you buy a Pepsi in Texas, a percentage of that goes to their EDC, and they just write checks. They'll be like, I'll give you $2 million to move here. and that's how they're attracting business. We operate in tax breaks. So we'll say, you know, for 5 years, so Rivian got a 5-year property tax abatement. Basically meant that anything that they invested in that property and for the first 5 years, as long as they created the jobs they said they were gonna create, and as long as they made the investment they were gonna make, they didn't have to pay those property taxes. I had the responsibility of doing their audits. And 1 year, they didn't meet the requirements. They didn't hit the investment, so they did not get a break that year. So it started off, I think they were shooting for maybe $250 million. Yeah, 250 and about 500 jobs. Fast forward, like I said, that abatement's up and they've invested 2.5 billion and created 8,700 jobs. So
Yeah.
we made our money back.
Yeah.
And you want to be smart about your investment because I don't know if you've heard about the Foxconn deal in Wisconsin. There's some states that give away so much money, so much abatement that there's no way. I've seen states do 30 years. So let's say for 30 years, no property taxes.
That's
And I'm
huge.
like,
A lot.
that's insane.
Huge.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well, how do you pay your police, your fire, your roads, your
Yeah.
schools with no money coming in? So we try to use that in-plan model to say, all right, here's our payback time. We want to make sure we're being responsible with those tax dollars because we want to see that ripple effect. Because there's too many times they give away too much money up front and then that money never comes back in and then the cities pay for it.
So then does Bloomington, the municipality itself, actually have an economic development?
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
you guys just kind of help them out, you said?
Complementary. So like our role, like, and most of the time the way that it's broken out, it was different when I was in Tinley Park, but the city and the town have an economic development team and they focus on retail economic development. So we do non-retail economic development.
Okay.
So we're going after some of the bigger jobs, manufacturing we love,
Gotcha.
making sure State Farm's happy. And then whenever we get the leads in, like we have a prospect coming in tomorrow, it's our role to bring them in and then hand them off. So I use football analogies all the time, like I'm tossing you the ball, please do not fumble this thing, and we try to help them get across the goal line. But it's our job to go meet with the businesses, get them to grow from within. Number one thing we do right off the bat is thank them for doing business in McLean County, and then ask them, are you growing? And if you're not growing, what barriers are in the way? And if we find a commonality in barriers, we go to the state of Illinois, or we go locally and say, hey, these are the issues our businesses are having, and right now it's been workforce, there's just not enough people. And we said, okay, why don't we have workforce? There's not enough houses, okay, let's go recruit housing developers. So we're always trying to figure out how we get them to grow, because if they're growing, then complementary businesses come in.
Okay.
It's definitely a machine, is what it sounds like.
It's a giant machine, it's economics. It's
Yeah.
like the definition for economic development is the efficient allocation of scarce resources, and our goal is to develop those scarce resources. So we treat it like a restaurant. We're here to set the table in the environment that businesses and people want to invest in.
Yeah.
Because we don't actually do the deals. People think that economic developers are deal makers, like I'm just gonna call somebody up, they're gonna show up and be like, I love this place, let's invest. It's really, we're information brokers. So I'm just here to connect the people together and then guide them through the process like a liaison.
Interesting stuff.
Oh, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I got in 16 years ago, never heard of it. My background was in advertising and real estate development. And the local EDC in Decatur said, hey, we found your resume on Monster of all things. And they're like, if you know advertising and you know real estate, come sell the whole community. And I got in, took every class known to man in it to the point where I'm actually the director of the basic course for the whole state of Illinois now. So I
Wow.
teach 45 economic developers a year
Wow.
how we do what we do here. But yeah, it's one where I got in and we did like 1 or 2 deals. So ADM's Intermodal Yard, $250 million project. That was one that we worked on. Acorn Pharmaceuticals, both of those are closed now, but we did those. So it's just cool over time to drive around and see not only the expansions that take place, but then you run into people you went to high school with that work there. It's
Yep.
like our job is to create investment and jobs.
Gotcha.
Very rewarding.
So yeah, so Bloomington contracted you guys out then, that's kind of
Yeah.
where it all stemmed from. It's-
Yeah, so it's like our organization got together and realized there's certain things in municipalities that they cannot do because they're foilable.
Yeah.
So Freedom of Information Act, they can't, if somebody wants to know what's going on, they have to tell them. With us, because we're public-private,
Mhm.
we're not foilable. So we can go out and we can, do some lobbying off to the side to try to, get certain things changed in our community's favor or our state's favor, and we advise in that capacity. But also to go attract certain businesses that come in, and everything that we do is confidential, same with the state. So it's all quiet until it's time to go public and the business itself is willing to make the announcement. Like, we don't make any announcements until they're ready to make the announcement. So yeah, it's nice because I work for the city of Decatur, I work for the village of Tinley Park, and it's just a different animal if you're trying to do economic development for a city.
Yes.
It's a much more public process, and things have to go through committees and commissions and final board approval, and it's a lot slower than where we can act fast, get them set up to be successful, and then get them through the process.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's kind of where, because I'm in with the city. I'm Public Works
Okay.
in Decatur, and I talk with a lot of them guys over, next door, and that's kind of where I was like trying to get your side of how
Yeah.
Bloomington's doing and how Decatur's doing, because I don't think Decatur has anybody contracted out like.
No, they do. So you have,
Oh, they do.
Nicole Bateman runs the Decatur and Macon County Economic Development Council, and that's where I got started 16 years ago. So I
Sounds
was
like
there
that would
for
be a
about-
tough job because of the Decatur
Oh,
economy,
it was
Macon
like-
County economy.
Yeah.
We, like, if you look at the amount of people that were doing municipal government and economic development in Decatur that moved up here, it's kind of shocking.
Mhm.
Because we always joke, like, if you can sell Decatur, Illinois, you can sell anywhere. And
Yeah.
that was no
That's
joke,
true.
because when I was in Decatur, we would start, like, it's all numbers. And so at the end of the day, it turns this big Excel spreadsheet. Businesses look at all the areas that they're successful, and they look for these common areas, and workforce, educational attainment, just population growth or decline. And I mean, Chad and I ended up in the same area in Mount Zion. I remember taking our kids to school and looking around, and it was everybody we graduated with. And I'm like, this is a problem. If we're all leaving Decatur and going around the surrounding suburbs, what happens is the population declines in Decatur, the property taxes therefore have to be increased to make up for all the value that's dropping, and it becomes it's a flywheel, and it was going the wrong way. And I spent my time in Decatur begging companies not to leave, where when I got to 10 Lane here, it's easy to bring companies in. So we helped a lot of companies in Decatur. I mean, the time I was there for those 10 years, there was $1 billion invested. We just didn't do a very good job of telling that story. Like, that was during the Caterpillar expansion, that was $400 million. The intermodal yard was $250, so there was action going on. But it's hard to watch your projects disappear. And so, like I said, like with Acorn, all that investment and then gone. Luckily, someone's probably gonna buy them out.
They should,
But
yeah.
we were literally there. I mean, heck, we played JFL, we'd have to cross picket lines at Firestone in order to get to the field, and then that place closed. Then Zexel closed. And you see the slow decline. I mean, when I was there, Caterpillar, I think had 6,000 employees. They were bigger than ADM. And we did the retrofit for that plant because they were originally doing motor graders. The motor grader, which is used to make roads, was invented in Decatur there by Caterpillar. They ended up moving that to Arkansas. And we fought tooth and nail for that not to happen, but they said, you know what? We're gonna start building these big mining trucks here, and that's gonna be the future. So we're like, okay, awesome. Helped them do the enterprise zone, did all that, and as soon as they got done, the commodity market dropped out, and then they stopped making the trucks for a while. And so that employment dropped like crazy. And that's the downside of being so focused on one industry. Luckily with Decatur, people always have to eat. So like ADM and Tate Mile, that manufacturing is always gonna be there, and that is the base. But yeah, growing up in Decatur and then looking up here at Bloomington and seeing this entire area grow alongside State Farm. I mean, State Farm employs like over 13,000 people here. Like the biggest employer in Decatur might be 5,000 at ADM. So it's kind of night and day. And you got the stability of both universities, 25,000 college kids a year.
Mhm.
If this becomes a battle of the workforce, we're winning because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandparents are both from Decatur, born and raised, and it was like, they see like Bloomington, normal area, they're like, this is what Decatur should have been.
Yeah.
Like Zexel and Firestone, I mean, anytime I've ever passed by there, I'm like, this is where fucking Amazon should be, this is where Rivian should be. Why are we not doing this? But it's taxes, people
Yeah.
leaving.
And it's the process, like you said, like
And it's a
bureaucratic
process.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect. Like
Yeah.
once somebody leaves like Firestone, and then people are like,
Yeah.
well, I'm getting out of here because there's no jobs here. I can't,
Yep.
I can't stay here and wait for something to open. I gotta eat.
It used to be like you would build a plant and then all the people showed up. And then somewhere around 90s, 2000s, people realized brain drain was real and all the jobs started going where the people were. And so we started losing people to Chicagoland. So like when Tate and Lyle headquarters first went from Staley's to Tate and Lyle to move the headquarters to Hoffman Estates, we were like, why in the world are you gonna go to Hoffman Estates? Like that cost of living up there is so much higher than Decatur. There's no way our workers are gonna go up there and you're gonna pay them the same.
Exactly.
They did it, and then the workers got up there and they're like, wait a minute, I can go across the street and make more money, and then they did. So it didn't work out the way that they thought, and ADM, same thing, moved their headquarters to Michigan Avenue. And so we started losing these headquarters. And like I said, it became a battle of begging people not to leave instead of helping people grow from within. And
Yeah, and
for
then-
10 years, it was tough.
Yeah, with the average population that doesn't work at ADM or Tate & Lyle or CAT or something like that, it's scary too, because it's like, if they leave, then what happens next?
Yes, yeah.
Because
Just one of them,
you
if
know,
one of them leaves.
CAT's always flirted with leaving the area anyways.
Well,
And
that's where the beauty of CAT is the amount of money that they put into that one project. Like $400 million, it's hard to walk away from that.
Yeah.
My concern's always been, and even before I took this job, going to talk to State Farm, like, hey, why are you guys here? You can move phones anywhere that you want. Like, I'm not taking this job because I'm not gonna be the fall guy if something happens. And they're like, they said, honestly, the state of Illinois has some of the best tax policies for insurance agencies, headquarters. That's why there's so many in Illinois. I was like, I had no idea. So like, we'll always be at this level. This is like, we're committed to this area. We love Bloomington Normal. This will always be home. And yeah, they've been holding steady. But that's the beauty about manufacturing, even with Rivian, because people would question, like, is Rivian real? Are they gonna make it? I'm like, the amount of money that they've sank into this plant, you cannot move.
Yeah, that's simple business right there.
And so it's like, that's the beauty of Caterpillar too. Like, as the product changes, the machines are all still there. And the beauty of manufacturing is it usually pays really well, and there's gonna be some type of supplier ripple effect afterwards, like you said, that 3 to 5 other jobs that it supports. So
Yeah.
hopefully that stays.
I mean, it was kind of a blessing that Mitsubishi plant was there to begin with, so the bones were already there, and it was like, Rivian was, not necessarily Tesla level, whenever it
No.
first came here, but it's in competition with Tesla every single day.
Yeah, Rivian came here, it wasn't even for the building, it was for, because they heard they had state-of-the-art robotics left in there. So like, we're gonna go in for the auction, buy the robots, came in, looked at the robots, had lunch, here in Uptown actually, stories about this coffee hound. Went in there, RJ did, and some of his team, and they started talking to people, and like, you guys seem pretty happy with the area, and they're like, everybody loves it here. There's a good vibe with all these college kids, and they're like, maybe we can just manufacture this thing here. So part of that story is them going to that coffee shop and actually opened one of those coffee shops in Rivian now. So when you walk in the front
Nice.
door,
Yeah.
there's a local coffee hound right there, and that's part of their story.
And it's pretty neat driving by there too. I drove by there.
Oh, yeah, it's
I think
insane.
it was early this past summer, and you see all the SUVs and trucks and people that work there, drive the vehicles. I mean, that says everything about the company right there.
Amazon vans. No, it's one where they literally came in and said, we're gonna take up a third of this building, and then we need the EDC's help to fill up the rest. And then once people saw their skateboard concept, which is what's underneath with all the batteries, Amazon jumped on, Ford jumped on, and then they got to the point where like, okay, we're expanding, and they blew the doors off, expanded again, doubled the size of the building, and to the point now they just announced a massive project down in Georgia too. So they're really, really ramping up and exceeding their expectations.
And I prefer the Rivian truck over the Tesla truck.
What is that?
Oh,
So-
10 times
I
out
do
of
too.
10.
Yeah, that
Well,
Rivian's
one, you can
nice.
drive a Rivian truck, Tesla's.
Yeah,
It's bulletproof. Tesla's is bulletproof, which Rivian isn't, but I've driven the Rivian trucks and they do go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds.
Yeah, SUVs are nice too. They did a
And
really
plus,
good
like
job
the
with
little
SUVs.
trim packages too with
Yeah.
the Rivian stuff. I mean,
Oh,
it's adventure ready for sure.
Yeah, you can, like, literally they showed us in the beginning, like you open the trunk and like, this is a cooler. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, where the engine would be is a cooler.
Yeah.
They've got a grill that pulls out behind the cab.
And the flashlight that comes standard with like even the base model and all that stuff, and the extra storage and stuff like that.
I think the range is better too than Tesla. I think the Rivian truck's a lot better on the range of miles.
Just like anything.
Probably because of the weight, yeah, because I think
Yeah.
that.
Just like anything with that,
Yeah.
the further it goes, the better it's going to get. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh yeah.
this is really early in this. I mean, if you think about fuel combustion, they said the same thing then. They're like, this is never going to work. Whenever it's horse and buggies,
Yeah.
this is foolproof that, horse and buggies is
Prove
proven.
that.
And then look what happened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not a huge electric vehicle person. I like gas cars, but I mean,
Yeah, you can't hate on the new.
no, especially the Rivians look pretty good too.
They do.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with
They
their
are.
design team. I mean,
Definitely fun to drive. I'm looking to see what the R2 is gonna be here, the next version,
Yeah.
which was probably gonna happen down there in Georgia.
I'll have to look into that. I do like the SUV actually quite a bit better than the truck. though.
I do too.
Yeah.
I secretly do.
Maybe it's because you don't see a whole lot of the SUV around here. You mainly see
They're
the
mostly out
truck.
west.
You can't
the
get
SUV.
them. The SUVs
Yeah.
are like really, the trucks you can probably order and get a truck right now, but the SUVs, like, good luck, there's a waiting list.
Yeah. But so another question I had, Decatur has something called the American Rescue Plan Act.
Okay.
I don't know if do you guys kind of deal with that kind of grant stuff too with
So-
Bloomington?
Yeah, so
or-
there's a whole, well, like you go to grants.gov and you look up the amount of grants that are out there, it is absolutely insane. They're like printing money. the American Rescue Plan did have money that went to municipalities, so both Normal and Bloomington, I'm pretty sure even the county got some. That's just one program. So we go to DC every single year, and it's a trip that we call One Voice, and we take Bloomington and Normal and the county, along with private businesses, and then actually our projects are due next week. But we ask everybody, by November, submit a project that we can go back and ask the feds for dollars for, to try to find match or grant, so we can get investment in infrastructure. And we brought back over $80 million over the time that we've been doing it. And so we go every March, and we say, here's our 3 projects. Like last year, the project was, we need sewer. And sewer's not sexy, but we knew that there was a lot of dollars going into sewer. Tammy Duckworth's a huge fan of sewer, which is kind of crazy, but they put so much money towards it that we ended up working with a program with our Bloomington Normal Water Reclamation District called Benward to get a $300 million upgrade. And this is gonna be a low interest loan program to do it. But when you upgrade all that infrastructure, then the buildings and the businesses follow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very important to build those relationships. We've got a lobbyist that works for us that lines up and says, here's the programs that are coming. We try to match the projects that we have to those. Like I said, we take 3, and then for basically 3 days, we're out in DC networking, meeting with elected officials and the federal staff to say, what programs do you have that match our projects? So whenever those come up, we can apply and we usually get the dollars. Something I never did in Decatur.
Yeah,
It
and
works.
infrastructure, you're right. I mean, I always have real estate agents always calling my phone, like, hey, you got, water in this area, or you got sewer, you got, sanitary hookups. And
That's the number one, so like the flywheel of economic development, if you don't have that infrastructure, if there's no road, there's no rail, there's no water, it's ground. And we got some of the best dirt in the world when it comes to farming, but if you want to invest and get a business to come into your area, you have to have the infrastructure, and it has to be shovel ready. If not, it's just another piece of dirt.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we start with the infrastructure, and then we go into the cleanup side, which Decatur's got a lot of blighted properties. And so that's taking care of any type of vacancies, any type of contamination issues. From there, you go into neighborhoods, you work on your parks, your downtowns, and if that all works well, then ideally you're attracting workforce. Now, once you've got workforce, the rest usually takes care of itself, because the businesses are following the talent.
Yeah. So you said sewer. Do you guys have a lot of combined sewer or something? Is that what they're trying to get rid of? Is the storm and sanitary, or are they just trying to update it?
So there's different versions. So there's one full system that's called Benward, so the Bloomington Normal Water Reclamation District. They manage the sanitary system. I think the stormwater might be through each city in the town, and then they connect into the system. So we've got multiple plants. I think Decaturs is a separate taxing body too.
Yeah. I think it is.
Yeah, 'cause I used to live on the west end out there. That's where I grew up. And but they
West End, maybe.
yeah, West Packard, that's where I was at, walked to school.
I wouldn't do that now.
I'll still walk anywhere I want in my town. No, but like I said, the infrastructure itself, you start with the infrastructure, and most people are like, fix the roads, because that's what everybody sees. And the stuff that's underground that hasn't been taken care of,
Yeah.
if you don't get that fixed, if you don't get that fixed, development's not happening. And so that's why we were very happy to go back and help them get dollars to improve our system, because we know if you've got the capacity, then you can go, in turn, you can sell that. And then also, we've been approved for one of the states, actually 2 of the states, mega site grants. So the state's gonna give matching grants to extend infrastructure on the northwest side of town in Normal, but also out by our airport, which has Norfolk Southern cutting right through it. So the idea is if we get infrastructure out there by that rail, we're not gonna build a full inland port like Decatur's got, but we can definitely do a rail spur in a business park. We start landing some of these businesses.
Well, with that
Yeah.
inland port in Decatur, it's not like they use it like they should anyways.
No, that was
Yeah.
one where, like, when that thing was pitched, and because we worked on that at the time, the fact you have 3 major class 1 rail providers coming into one yard, we're like, we're gonna be able to bring in tons of people to import things, because ADM's literally buying empty rail cars to ship stuff out. So we thought that we'd be able to recruit in easy, and it wasn't until I got up to Chicagoland, because we'd always say like, well, you can get to Chicago, Indy, St. Louis in a 1-day truck drive. And then I get up around Joliet, and they're like, yeah, but up here I can get to Chicago 3 to 4 times. And just look at the population difference. Like, why would I want to get to Chicago once when I can do it 3 to 4 times? I'm like, it's just logistics. And so yeah, it made a lot more sense when I got up into that market.
And that's what my grandpa always said about Decatur. What was so sexy about early business coming to Decatur is because you could get to KC, Chicago, St. Louis, and
Yeah.
everywhere else by rail. And
Yes.
back in the teens and 20s, that was huge for Decatur.
Oh, it's bigger than Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
when we
was.
started, yeah.
Yep.
And now look.
Now look at it. Yeah.
No, it hurts, like literally,
Just
I
in
still.
the past, it's.
I mean, what do you
Now
think?
looking at the
What do you
future.
think the plague is for Decatur? What I mean,
It's one of those, like I said, my dad did homicide there. Like I know the ins and the outs of Decatur. I still read the headlines, and I don't think you notice until you leave. Because I mean, I grew up there. I love Decatur, and so I went through Roosevelt, junior high, which is now a project. And then MacArthur and Eisenhower, I know they dumped a ton of money in there, and the schools look great. I don't know about the grades are keeping up compared to other places. And
No.
it's not until
DPS 61 is like some of the worst
It's
grades in the
so
state.
if anyone that's going to move anywhere that's got a family looking to get a job, they're going to go on the Illinois Report Card and they're going to be like, what school should I go to? And that's where that sprawl started happening. So we moved to Mount Zion because my wife's family was from there. Got out there, like I said, looked around, like everybody's moving out here. So if everybody's moving out, that's a problem. And so that had started a while ago. Probably, I think the 90s is when some of the first strikes started taking place. I think it was like Tate Mile and ADM, like I said, the Firestone issues. But whenever workforce starts to become a challenge, it's really hard to retain your businesses or get anybody to grow. But I still, like I said, all the headlines, I got a ton of friends and family that are there. But it is a tough sell. And then once I got to Tinley, and my family got up there, we're like, oh, this is like the Andy Griffith Show. This is super easy.
Yeah.
So when I got there, they were literally arguing over, at their council meetings, the color of their recycling containers. I'm like, you do not have problems. Like, I just left where kids are buying fake marijuana in liquor stores and dying off the stuff.
Yeah.
And you guys are arguing over this. And then I got here, and we never planned to come back downstate. Like, our goal was to go work for the city of Chicago or DC, go big or go home. And then this opened up, and I'm like, wait a minute, we can get back to family. My daughters are going to be college age. Like, this could be a really happy medium. And I got here, I'm like, so what are your big issues? Like, well, we got real problems with our bus routes. Like, you guys are arguing over bus routes? I'm like, you don't got problems either. This is gonna be easy. And so, yeah, I got here and I told a lot of people, I was like, you guys were built with State Farm. The medical system is massive here, and then both your university systems, it's been steady growth all these years. But I said the one thing that you guys aren't paying attention to, because people look at overall population number, and they're like, hey, it's always been going up. And I'm like, yeah, but if you break that down by generation, Generation X is slowly disappearing from this place. So we're aging in place. And if you do not replace my generation, our generation, all this stops. And so once we started figuring that out, that's when the whole recruiting mindset shifted. Yeah, how to fix Decatur? I knew that.
The baseline's terrible.
It is.
That's where you start. I mean, I'm gonna leave. You're gonna leave.
Yeah. Well.
And I love Decatur. I mean, I'm not gonna move too far away, but to the point where I'm not grocery shopping in Decatur anymore.
Right.
It's just gonna be my commute to work, and that's gonna be it. I mean, we're already talking about maybe moving to like the Muhammad area just because she, if she gets a job in like Danville or something like that, it's just a commute for her. We're right around the corner from Champaign. Muhammad's a nice town.
Yeah. Monticello's along the way. We lived in Monticello for a while. No, I get it. It's one of those where it becomes, everyone calls it site selection. So businesses hire these people called site selectors that come in and say, where should I invest? Where should I put my next operation? And it's not site selection, it's site elimination. And they stack everybody up on these scorecards. They basically say, what's your growth? What's your crime rate? What's your traffic counts? What's your disposable income? What's your cost of living? Like, all that gets put in this big Excel spreadsheet, and they stack us up. And when you start looking at the trends over time, it doesn't look good. And that's what was impossible to sell. And then this area is doing the complete opposite.
Yeah, and I've always said to him, it's like, all we need is like a big business to take a chance, but you can't really afford to do that whenever you don't have the population anyways, and then you don't have the population that's gonna show up to work day in and day out and do shift work.
So that's why it's been good that ADM and I can't remember the name of the company that's doing was it dog food out of bugs or something like that?
Oh,
So
Nova Feed.
Nova Feed. So yeah, there's definitely projects that are happening there, and it's good to see that continued investment. And there's also some EV projects going on down there.
TCI.
They're doing some cool stuff. So the investment's still there, but yeah, you're only going to go as far as your workforce.
Yeah, TCCI is about to expand for that EV project.
Yeah.
They're demoing it right now and adding on to it right now.
Yeah, they got the first REV deal in the state, so it's like reimagining electric vehicles. And that was the thing that Pritzker put through to try to compete because we were getting our butts kicked by the surrounding states. So they've adapted their programs to try to compete.
I mean, if you think about like the whole Richland area and out that way where they're building those warehouses, it's like the interstates were right there.
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying. I mean, like you probably have almost 648, more than 640 acres just,
Oh,
just
yeah.
sitting there, just
Yep.
waiting for somebody to come in there
Yeah,
and
I
live
mean,
on the farmland.
what is it doing for Decatur if it's farmland?
And that's the other thing
Absolutely
is,
nothing.
yeah, the
Because
infrastructure.
those farmers don't live in Decatur, they live in Argenta or in a, surrounding town
Yeah,
to where
if
they're
it's
paying
still,
those taxes.
if it's still owned locally.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of times you bought it by bigger companies.
We don't even have water main, we don't have sewer, anything. I think Pilot, we have one feed going up to Pilot, to
Okay.
that gas station, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, yeah, we would identify the area where we think there's most potential for growth, and then we would go out to DC to find the funds, bring them back, expand the infrastructure, and then bring the developers in to build the buildings to attract the businesses.
Hmm.
But it all starts with that infrastructure.
And Decatur City Council's a thankless job too. I mean,
Oh, I get
yeah.
beat up.
they're
That's-
number one, they're shooting themselves in the foot because they're bureaucrats and they're in it for their own
They just got
whatever.
reelected.
But also, you get one good guy in, and then he's like, I'm good now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get out. Rodney Walker, for example, and then who's that lawyer?
I don't remember.
The dude that rides the horse in the commercials.
I don't even know.
Oh, favor.
Yeah, Bill Faber.
Yeah.
Bill Favor.
So it's
Oh,
literally
I
like,
guess that.
like you said, it's a thankless job, and they might make $5,000 a year to go get yelled at the Kroger's. It's a hard gig, and I respect a lot of people that try to do that. But it's also one, especially with social media nowadays, the people that are probably really good at it are like, I'm not putting my family through that, because as soon as you sign up to be an elected official, slander's off the table. Like, it's open game to call you whatever you want to be called, and so people that can be really good to represent their community will never run.
Yeah, and not to name any names, but you see already elected officials that now their daughters are running for office and their family members are running for office. Like, of course you are.
Yeah.
Bureaucracy at its finest.
Yep.
And then you end up on city council, and then you get the kickbacks for whatever, and then so on and so forth, and then.
And I don't know in Central Illinois there's any kickback. Chicago, I know there are because people go to
Sure,
jail.
yeah. Yeah, sure.
Somebody just got arrested. I just copied the headline. I forgot what town it was in, but yeah, he was like pushing something to his trucking company, to
Nice.
another company.
Nice.
Yeah.
Up in one of the Chicago
I think that
suburbs.
happened in Shelby County too. One of the county engineers was doing something like that. But,
Yeah, those stories are all over the place.
oh yeah. Yeah. So one of the questions I had was the process, but you kind of already said. You said, you go look for the money, you get the money, you do the infrastructure.
The big process off the bat is just assessment. So like every town that I've gone in, the first 6 months, just go talk to businesses, find out what their challenges are, find out where all of your available sites are, so where your vacant buildings are, and then find out where your infrastructure is. One, because you might have a great building, but like you said, there's not sewer capacity, electric capacity, it doesn't matter. Once you've got that all assessed, then you know what your product is, find out what your workforce is, and then you're gonna have something to go sell.
Yeah.
Then you basically try to improve from within, and then find those complementary businesses, like we said, and then go recruit.
Yeah.
Kind of beautiful the way it works.
Oh, it
you
works.
can get it to work.
When you get the flywheel spinning and you get that investment, it sells itself, because your story, like the Rivian, like the Ferrero, that other stuff just gets out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. So.
Talk a little Bears,
You
let's,
talk Bears,
little
yeah.
football.
Yep,
Yeah.
go
Let's
for it.
switch it up here.
What do you think about Bajent?
I think Bajent is, let's see, how would I classify Bajent? He's like a Rudy story, which is
Yeah.
freaking amazing. What drives me nuts about the whole process right now is how people are actually looking for him to fail. I don't like that at all. It's like, he's probably limited, but I'm not a football scout. I did coach at LSA for 3 years, so I do have some background in it besides playing, but he can read the defense. He can get up the line, he can change the play, and then you can actually see him go through his progressions. He's nowhere near the athlete that Justin Fields is. Justin Fields does not go through those progressions. Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields, after the same amount of game, have the same stats,
Wow.
which is wild.
It's interesting.
It's very interesting.
And
You start
nobody's
comparing-
really calling for Justin Fields' head. Not like
Not-
we were Trubisky.
Not like Trubisky's, but it's
Yeah.
one where like, yeah, they throw the interceptions, they take too many sacks. My biggest beef is like, you're supposed to design your system around your talent. And I think too many times the coaches design a system and they say, fit into my system. Like, my biggest beef, I almost shed a tear, Mike Martz got rid of Greg Olson because he wanted to run that different system. It's like, we don't have tight ends. And that's a
And
Pro
then-
Bowler tight end.
And then Greg Olson goes to Carolina
Yeah,
and
that's
balls.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like Jay Cutler's #1 target. So the coaches that they have their system, like, I want you to fit my piece, and I think Bajent right now fits that piece because he can read it, he can make the changes. And honestly, for a kid that's played 4 games, he's still like, I forgot, Chase Daniels, I think, came on, and because he's the only one who's not bashing Bajan right now. Like, so what do you think about, Bajan? He's like, well, that 1 quarter, yeah, he threw, 3 picks and fumbled the ball. But for the other 3 quarters, they were all perfect plays. So it's like, and again, he's an undrafted rookie free agent. So I think he's got potential. I don't know how high his ceiling is talent-wise. Like, I love watching Justin Fields play, but he also scares me to death because when he takes off, I'm just like, slide already.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't know what's going to happen. The talent's there. I don't know if the reads in the system is there. I wish he can combine them. It'd be an awesome quarterback.
Yeah, there was that Thursday night game against the Redskins whenever him and DJ Moore absolutely went off.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, maybe they're going to put it together. And then Fields gets hurt, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
they're back to being the Bears now.
Yeah. No, it's,
I mean, what are you going to do with whenever Darnell Mooney's your number 1 receiver?
Right.
He's
This is what
just
it was
not.
for a while.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's a
okay,
3.
but
He's a 3 receiver
Yeah.
at best
He's
on
not a
other
wide receiver
teams.
one.
And I was so disappointed in Chase Claypool. Like, he was great at Notre Dame.
Yeah,
What the
I know.
heck?
Yeah.
He was saying he was trash at Notre Dame.
No, he would get the high balls. He would high point, which is what like the Bears need. Is like you need a big body high point. You also need a speed. You need a slot guy.
He was bad.
And then
Him and Roethlisberger connected so well, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they
and
were
then it was
great
like he
together.
turned into a head case.
Well, I think it was Cole Kmet because they asked him about it. 'Cause they went to school together, and they're like, "What happened?" And they're like, "He was so used to winning. Like he just always won, so he couldn't handle the loss." And I think he was just too passionate about it, and it started driving everybody else crazy too. So
Yeah.
if you don't know how to lose, I mean, you can't be in Chicago.
No.
And you actually met Bajan's dad.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the
So
arm
I
wrestler.
did
That guy's
Yeah.
a
At the
character.
Senior Bowl.
That's awesome.
Sat right beside him.
Yeah.
He was actually telling me before the season, he's like, this Tyson Bagent kid, watch out for him. So I did a dynasty league draft, and I was like, I'll just take Bagent on a flyer. He's going to
Yep.
be the 3rd string quarterback for Chicago, but
happens.
we'll see what happens. And then he ends up playing, and I was like, you told me.
No, I've got him in my, I got a keeper league, so it's like I use my last pick and Bajan's sitting there, so yeah, if it stays on it, like, they signed him for a 3-year deal though.
Did they?
Yeah,
No,
he's
that-
got a 3-year deal, so he will either be the backup or he's gonna keep proving the haters wrong. I just don't like how the media's turned on him so fast. Some people are like, he's got all the skills, the tools are there, and the other ones are like just wanting him to fail. And I'm like, that makes no, it's like what Tim Tebow played. Some people absolutely hated that dude, I'm like, because he's
Yeah, they were just
religious?
praying for his,
Yeah.
praying for his downfall because he was a good dude.
Yeah, he's a good
Yeah.
dude. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I mean-
it's like, why do we, put these bad characters on a pedestal, and then the good ones you want them to mess up? That drives me nuts.
I was actually telling Ganir today at work, I was like, it's honestly a shame that professional sports move so fast, because you see this with guys like Bajan, they just need the reps.
Oh yeah.
But with professional sports, they don't have time for reps.
Don't have
It's
time
like
for
we need to
reps.
start
They
winning.
win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I actually went back and I looked at the stats for the first 4 games for Fields compared to the first 4 games for Bajan. Bajan definitely has more interceptions now because that wild quarter, but the amount of sacks that Justin Fields was taking because he couldn't read. And so it's like, if you're an offensive lineman, you love Bajan because he gets rid of the ball, and so you're not giving up sacks. I mean, he's been sacked once or twice, I think.
Yeah.
So he's got the mind. Definitely doesn't have the speed, but he's still athletic. And I think he's got more to prove. So I'm hoping for the kid, but I also like Fields a lot too. Like, I just want a quarterback.
What do you guys think the deal is with the running backs in the NFL?
As far as why they're not getting paid.
As far as kind of like that, but they're like shifting it to where it's like this 2-back system to where Vikings, perfect example. They let Dalvin Cook go. Even the Bears, David Montgomery goes,
Yeah.
and then he absolutely balls
Yeah.
for
Khalil
Detroit.
Herbert.
And now Khalil Herbert's the number 1 guy hurt, and then
He's coming back tonight though.
they have Dante Foreman and some other
Yeah.
slapdick guy. Blassingame.
Last game's a fullback, and then
Yeah.
Roshan Johnson's a rookie,
Oh, yeah,
and he
Roshan.
runs
Yeah.
hard. Yeah. So it's like I like the hard running backs. Still my favorite is Christian McCaffrey.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah,
guy
he's,
is
he's a
holy
Swiss
cow.
Army knife.
Yeah,
He
that's
is.
one where
If you want him to play quarterback, he could probably.
Yeah.
He could.
You pay that guy. So like those are the ones that even Taysom Hill, like
Yeah.
those
He's
type
gadget.
of guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
the gadget guys. I would take them all day. That's who you pay. But the rest of them, there's so much talent that comes out every single year that runs the ball hard. I understand why the running backs aren't getting paid. Wide receivers, there's some wide receivers that are well above, and then like tight ends, you got Kelsey, and then pretty much everybody else.
Yeah.
But I do like Cole Kmet. He did go to Notre Dame
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
though.
Yeah, anytime any Notre Dame guy does well, I'll be like, hey, Tommy Tremble caught a touchdown this week. Just want you to know that. He's a big Illinois, Miami
Right.
guy.
There was a
you know.
couple years I rooted for Notre Dame.
Manti Te'o era, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Manti made the Bears too for a while.
Yeah.
Old man tie.
So once he was gone, okay.
Those
Good
were,
documentary.
Those were fun years.
That was a good
That
documentary.
Great documentary.
That's good.
You gotta
So
watch
we'll
this pretty.
You should watch it.
Yeah.
You feel for the guy.
And even
You do.
the Johnny Manziel documentary, it's the
Yes.
same.
I haven't seen that
Untold.
one yet.
It's pretty good. Give it a watch. Yeah. I mean, if you know anything about Johnny Manziel and his downfall, it's
Yeah.
like you understand definitely, like, and you know kind of where everything's going too.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the whole suicide thing, like him wanting to
Either.
kill himself after he blew a bunch of money, but it was like it kind of covers that a little bit in
Does
there
it?
too. Yeah.
Well, you think about it, these guys never really had to grow up.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
from being the stud in high school to the stud in college, the stud in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it was they did a 30 for 30 about I forgot what percentage go broke. You know, by the time they
Oh,
get
yeah.
out, like,
Yeah.
it's nuts.
Yeah.
Not used to it.
That's why I'm glad they do this NLI now. They
NIL.
make the
Yeah,
NIL, whatever it is,
Yeah.
but they make them stay in school now because they're getting paid and they
Yeah.
might actually get a degree.
We actually do that here. We pay athletes over at ISU if they like the area. We're like, hey, we'll give you our TikTok, $100. Just take it for the day and go tell us what
That's
you like
cool.
about it.
Yeah, that's
because
awesome.
they don't listen to me. Like my daughter goes there. Like I'm gonna listen to your dad how great this area is. But yeah, the athletes, volleyball, football, track, whatever.
I was saying that that Brandon Lieb kid's gonna be a star here because I mean he's going from being the backup at Illinois to
Yeah.
the basically the stud on Illinois State. I mean he should tear up the conference.
Yeah, should. Yeah, they struggle. Like we go to a couple games every now and again. The problem is they play a lot of times the same time Notre Dame does. So I'm like,
I think it's offensive coordinator from Illinois,
priorities. They do here.
Tony Peterson.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I mean, just like with anything, it's feast or famine. Like obviously the bigger schools, if you're getting recruited by somebody huge, you're not going to be like, well, I'm just going to stay in Bloomington and go to Illinois State. Or,
Right.
I'm gonna go to Illinois or I'm going to go to Alabama or something.
Well, I know our basketball team. They're getting a lot of people from the transfer portal. Like they might be on the bench at a bigger school and they're coming here and so forth.
That's huge. I mean, most of those guys can play ball.
Yeah.
They're tremendous athletes. So.
I think they're just as good. Yeah.
There was those fun years of watching Illinois State football.
Mhm.
I mean, that was they were in that national championship game. Our buddy Dallas was roommates with Pat Meehan, the starting safety on that national championship team,
Okay.
and all those guys were really, really good. I mean, James Robinson.
Yeah.
There's plenty of product that comes out of Illinois State.
And Eastern of all places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of coaches, a lot of quarterbacks come out of Eastern.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
And Illinois State is way more attractive scenery than Charleston.
Yeah.
Oh, the Panther Paw. Come on now.
If I'm being recruited by either school, I'm definitely going to Illinois State because
I would
there's
too.
way much more to do. Okay, cool.
There is.
Jimmy John started here.
Yeah.
That's what you're recruiting.
Because
me
you
on?
have Matt Toon. Matt Toon's a little close, and then Terre Haute's kind of close, but that's it. In
Yeah.
Charleston, there's nothing else. It's
Yeah, they're still having, I think, like second or third year in a row record enrollments for freshmen.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Wow,
like
that's
a lot of
great.
the play, like Southern, some other places they're dropping. Like here, it just keeps going up.
Yeah.
And they just got approved for an engineering school. So
Oh,
U of I,
that's going to be huge.
it's gonna be amazing because like the U of I even said like please do an engineering school because a lot of the people that are coming into the engineering school are from overseas. So they learn and they take that education back, and we still don't have engineers.
Oh.
And so the idea is if we can get one, hopefully we can retain some
Yeah,
engineers.
and the U of I, it probably gets saturated. With
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that
It's hard to get
enrollment,
in
so
there.
it's probably
Yeah, a
like,
lot of
hey,
people get rejected too. Yeah.
hey, we're an hour or so from Champaign, so might as well
Yeah.
come here.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what we're hoping on. And we use that too to try to get more manufacturing people to expand here.
Mhm.
And then also the nursing schools investing as well because there's not enough nurses,
Yeah, Illinois
especially in
South,
Central
there's not.
Illinois.
Illinois State's a pretty big nursing school.
Yeah, education, nursing, and hopefully engineering pretty soon.
On the rise.
Yeah.
Yeah, my end goal retirement is to go over there and teach. So I want to do this for a little bit longer. Last community I'm doing it in, I'm working on a PhD right now in business psychology. And then, in my retirement years, go teach and hopefully coach football somewhere again.
Yeah, that's how you know you're working a pretty decent job, because we always talk about I ain't working whenever I retire. I'm
Hell,
done whenever
I
I
have
retire.
to. I will
5 more
lose my
years, I
mind.
get to retire.
Really? Nah, I can't
Dang.
retire. I gotta go. Like the best thing about this gig is like every company that you go work with is another puzzle. You're trying to figure out what's it gonna take to get you to come here or get you to grow. So they're all puzzles to me. I just love solving problems. So I don't really feel like I work. Like it's cool at the end of the day. Like we lose a lot. If you land 3% of your deals in economic development a year, you're doing well. The goal is just to get the bat as many times as possible.
You play very much golf?
I'm terrible at golf.
We're terrible too, but we
Yeah,
love
too.
playing.
I love going out there. I'm still trying to break 100.
What's the best place to golf here?
Oh, one by my house. So we have 12 golf courses. which is, State Farm loves golf.
And you have to call way ahead of time. We learned that, what, was that about a month ago?
Yes, they had an actually huge ass party show up, I think that day. And
Yeah,
I
it
called
depends
like a
on-
weekend in advance.
Which one did you go to?
It was the one on the west side, right?
I can't remember all of it.
There's one called the Den, that's an Arnold Palmer course. I live
Right.
right down the street from
It wasn't that.
It wasn't that one.
I
Prairie
would love
Vista.
to. I think it was
Prairie
Prairie
Vista,
Vista.
Yeah, so Prairie Vista, if there's a tournament going on, good luck, but there's Prairie Vista, there's Highland, so like, right within, I'd say 2 miles of my house, there's 3 public courses.
Yeah,
Jeez.
we were skunked that day because they had senior league in the morning,
Mhm.
and then that afternoon they were having a huge party coming. I was like, well,
Okay.
yeah, we might as well. So we ended up going to Taylorville and playing, which Taylorville's
Yeah, that wasn't
a nice
bad.
course.
There's actually a place here, have you been to Blono Pizza yet?
I've heard about
So
it.
Blono Pizza uses the same top tracer technology that Topgolf does.
Mhm.
But the
Oh,
difference
nice.
is you can get a bucket of beers for like $6.
Yeah.
So they got pizza and wings and beers, and it's literally like bowling. You go into a bay and you just crush the ball and it tracks everything on the screen.
Yeah, we were actually at what's that nice restaurant in Uptown?
Up here,
Yeah.
Medici.
Medici. We were
Yeah.
at Medici and for one of my friend's girlfriend's birthdays, and they were going out there to hit balls. After
Yeah,
that.
it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a big garage that holds like 12 people and just get buckets of beer and pizza.
Is Swinger still open?
That was Swingers. So
Okay,
yeah, it
okay,
was
yeah.
Blono. They invested like over $1 million in the place.
I went there years ago whenever I used to come here all the time, and it was it was run down, it was dumpy, it was basically over with. It was like, yeah, this place needs renovated.
Yeah,
Pretty bad.
yeah.
So somebody bought
It's
it.
good to hear
they
that
renovated it.
they put the money into that place, guys. I mean, the bones were there, and that was before Topgolf was getting huge.
Yeah.
I mean, Topgolf was around, but it was before it was getting really big.
Yeah, and they're kind of pricey now, so.
Yeah, that's not pricey. It's really affordable. It's a lot of fun. And then also we've got like, I think it's like 6 or 7 breweries now. Those things keep popping up as well.
Oh, yeah.
And the biggest
Yeah.
one, like Distill, if you guys been to that big beer hall,
Yeah,
that
yep.
thing's massive.
They have really good food out there too.
They do, yeah. And their food's different at the beer hall than it is at the restaurant. It's the same guys. But yeah, it's all from scratch stuff.
Sounds like we need to
Yeah.
schedule a tea time at the den.
At the blown up pizza,
Yeah. And then favorite place to eat.
Oh,
There,
anything by Epiphany. So Epiphany Farms is a farm to table. So they got a farm outside of town. They grow everything there, and then they cook it at all the restaurants.
Dang.
So they've got one. It's in downtown Bloomington. It's literally called Epiphany Farms. I mean, I've had a lot of steak in Chicagoland, like the best steak I've ever had in my life.
Nice.
It is
Wow.
grass-fed, great stuff. You go upstairs of the restaurant, and there's a place called Anju Above, and it's literally like you're in San Francisco. It's sushi versus pizza. Totally different vibe. They're showing kung fu movies and like techno music's playing. It's
Wow.
wild. Then you go down the block a little bit, and there's a place that's called Bakery and Pickle, and it looks like a hardware store. And you walk in, and you like pull a book, and then it opens up, and it's like a 1920s speakeasy.
Oh wow.
The same group owns them all, and then the other one they just opened is called Harmony Barbecue. It's Korean barbecue. It's closer to my house, but it's backed by Little Beaver Brewery,
Okay.
and that's one where they actually cook the food at your table. So
Yeah,
yeah.
they do amazing stuff. It's all, like I said, they grow it and then they bring it to the restaurants and cook it.
Little Beaver's really cool. I went
Yeah.
there the first time on my birthday in March, and I liked it quite
That'd
a
be
bit.
a good guy for your podcast too, because he was a community college kid, got into landscaping, and then ended up getting into the brewing business, and now they're killing it.
Yeah, we're always looking for people.
We'll look him
like
up.
that.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
it's a
we'll
really
look
good
him up.
story. Him and his twin brother, Cabellas.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
good dudes.
Yeah, there's always places to eat in Bloomington. That's where I always
Yeah,
usually go now.
that is,
Springfield
Swans
doesn't
of
do it
food.
for me anymore.
That is one of the things about coming here. It's like I cannot eat at the same place twice. I love ancho and agave so much.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, man,
So
I want to go
much.
there
Yeah.
because the tacos. You can't eat the same taco twice.
Yeah.
But it's like I have to try something new because they're
And
so
that
much off.
one next door they own too, Biaggi's. That's the same thing.
Biaggi's is great,
Yeah, it's
too,
also
yeah.
Italian, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good food up here.
Yeah.
Biaggi's is cheap too.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, for what it is.
Yeah.
I know. So,
Yeah. I'm good.
Awesome.
Closing this
It
up.
was awesome
Yeah.
being here. Thanks for hosting us, man.
Yeah.
Kind of took a couple weeks off, and good to get back at it with another interesting guest.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
thanks for having us.
Very good education on the economic
Econ
development.
dev process.
Yeah.
Because one day I'll write a book on it, but like I said, yeah, I'm right now teaching 45 economic developers a year.
Yeah, the only thing that we ask is to like repost on your socials and stuff like that. Help us
Sure.
out. We're still pretty new. We're getting the word out, and yeah, I mean, goes a long way.
Yep.
Getting help.
I can
It
do
does.
that.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.